In the 2030s, thanks to the rapidly increasing oil prices, Qatar's economy was booming out of control. This led to the country heavily investing in trying to combat nature's plan and turn the desert into fertile land. And for a while there, it was working. But then the oil ran out. By the 2040s, the sand was winning the fight, and slowly the city was being taken back by the desert. It was only those who could afford to leave that did, while the rest remained under the LED skyline that DOHA was once famous for. Then, following the overwhelming sandstorms, was famine and government protest. And within no time at all, the military police were everywhere. They were trying their best to stop Qatar from being the next country to follow in the non-patrioted trend that was occurring across the planet. In the year 2040, a journalist called Kevin Bitcher was surfing through the dark net in pursuit of information around the no-pats, the soldiers who didn't have a place they could call home, who also happened to be enemy number one in the eyes of government officials. Suddenly, during the early hours of the morning, Kevin was contacted by an anonymous source, claiming to be the most wanted man alive, Oz. Oz was the commander of the largest known group of no-pat forces. However, Kevin had received messages like this before, and time again, it ended up being absolutely nothing. Or in some situations, it was government agents working on their anti-no-pat campaigns. He even once had a guy accuse him of being Oz. But what happened next proved that there was something different about this particular source. Moments after the chat ended, Qatari police broke down the door, accusing Kevin of aiding a terrorist. Fortunately for him, an approaching sandstorm provided a window of opportunity for him to escape arrest. And whilst using the cover of the storm to hide from the armoured vehicles that were looking for him, Kevin began to notice some strange messages coming through on the massive overhead LED signage. Through these adverts, he was able to see the no-pat emblem flashing through, along with a number of other mysterious symbols and images. Piecing these together, Kevin followed what he thought could be a way to find the no-pats, and even if it wasn't, he couldn't exactly hang around where he was for very long. Half of the city was looking for him. Following the clues, he ended up at the underground construction far beneath the abandoned football stadium. Outside, a man in his 50s, dressed in casual knee-length shorts, points his flashlight towards a tunnel entrance. His relaxed appearance and body language confused Kevin. What was going on? The man then thrust out his hand towards him and said, "Pyotr Guskovsky," and then in perfect Arabic said this was a one-time thing. As Kevin makes his way down through the dark tunnels, he wonders if he'll ever be able to call DOHA home again. But as he found out, a year later, Qatar would become a failed state, and the city of DOHA lost to sand. Almost 2 months after leaving DOHA, the trail of clues Kevin was following led him to Alang, India. There he found a safe house made up of shipping containers, and inside were a number of heavily armed no-pat soldiers. After speaking with them, Kevin discovered that this group included a former intelligence officer, doctor, nightclub bouncer, and car mechanic. One of the men, a man named Navin Rao, seemed more approachable than the rest. He was a notorious Indian hacker, an ex-Special Forces officer of the Indian Navy. Rao explained that during the 30s, armed task force units started to pop up around the globe to help assist in moving cargo around the world and between the non-patrioted. All because countries were unwilling to help feed the stranded families, so the no-pats took it upon themselves. Unfortunately, these operations were about to become even more dangerous, and when the world's governments started to crack down on the no-pats, they began treating these units like smugglers and pirates. This particular task force that Kevin had stumbled across was missing something that was reasonably integral to the operation: a boat. It was all starting to make sense to him now. This is why this group of individuals are in Alang, one of the largest shipbreaking yards in the world. They were going to commandeer one. Unsurprisingly, after the Second Great Depression in the late 30s, there was very little to be shipped around the world. So the shipping transportation industry decided to recoup some of its costs by turning to shipbreaking facilities and convert their unused fleets back into high-tensile steel. However, Alang soon became famous for something else, as the ships destined for scrap metal started magically disappearing, and then only to be discovered months later amongst the ever-growing Nopat fleet. And it was soon discovered that corrupt businessmen were using the black market to sell these ships to the Nopats. Once the Indian military found out about this, they immediately began setting up patrols and guards in every attempt to shut it down. Intrigued, Kevin decides to join the Nopats on their mission. Navigating the Alang coast is an incredibly treacherous business at the best of times, and in the gale force winds that night, and whilst pursued by the Indian army, the gunfire sounded like it was coming from every direction. During their mission, at one point, Rao was struck by a bullet, yet he casually brushed it off and took the helm, piloting them around the black iron corpses of ships that blocked their escape route. With 25-foot swells, he navigated the ship with ease, leaving their pursuers far behind their wake, and stuck, surrounded by the graveyard of tankers. By 1:32 a.m, the magic act was complete, and they had vanished far across the 21st parallel. And the beat-up old container ship, now unofficially named the Copperfield, began her journey as a Nopat.
Incoming fire!
Attention all squads. The Russian troops are falling back. Do whatever you can to secure the sector.